Welcome to episode 2 of a Child Rights Series 2025. Hear the voices of our children. We have rights too. Brought to you in collaboration with the Early Childhood Commission. And for this month, we're looking at the theme Self-Expression Unlocks Creativity. And I see a number of my ECIs registering their support from as early as 3:45 Jamaica time. So I am sure, as always, they're excited about hearing more about play. And that's exactly what we are going to be doing here as we lay the foundation. So I have a host of panelists joining for this discussion that will share their expertise. And I hope that when you leave here, that you'll have a better understanding as to how this particular CRC aligns with what you do daily. And so we have with us from the Edna Manley College of the Visual and Performing Arts, Miriam Hines-Smith, artist educator, Dean, School of Visual Arts. We have Sophia McCain, Head of Department, Dance Education. And we also have with us a host of other panelists we will introduce later, but for now, let me introduce and bring on to join me on screen, Dr. Nicolene. Let me share screen with her, DeGrasse Johnson, and I'm sure some of you are familiar with the DeGrasse, right? Because we had one on last month, all right? She is here in the capacity of arts educator. Welcome, Nicolene. All right. Unmute, you're muted.
So very sorry about that. Thank you, Winsome. Thank you so very much.
Not a problem. Right. So it's Play Month.
Yes.
So help us set the tone for this discussion that we're about to have as it relates to child's right to rest, play, and cultural activities and everything that's engaged in that particular CRC. We're talking about Article 31, Section 1. Lay the foundation for us, Nicolene, before we get into the panel discussion.
Thank you, Winsome, and thank you for all those who are out there joining us. I must say that the Early Childhood Commission is a dynamic institution. They're always ready to take on what our needs are for our children. And so it's with delight that I work with them, and I can say the Early Child Commission has always recognized its obligation to ensure that children are exposed to play that will enhance children's development and educational outcomes. In response to COVID-19 pandemic, the ECC developed a program in the academic year 21-22 devoted to play, and it was entitled Reimagining Play in the Early Years. This initiative responded to the need of the ECD sector. Through this project, 70 ECIs with 50% or below on their inspection reports received a learning kit and hopscotch painted at their ECIs. So, teachers and students can jump together. ECC staff visited ECIs and participated in play activities on Global School Play Day Jamaica, and International Play Day, and webinars focused on play. Out of this initiative, the ECC's Play Month was established in February 2022. This is to further emphasize and promote the child's right to play, which is crucial to their development. And we will talk about that as we get into the evening. The UN Convention on the Rights of the Child's Article 31 states the following. States parties recognize the right of the child to rest and leisure, to engage in play and recreational activities appropriate to the age of the child, and to promote freely in cultural life and the arts. State parties shall respect and promote the right of the child to participate fully in cultural and artistic life, and shall encourage the provision of appropriate and equal opportunities for cultural, artistic, recreational, and leisure activities. That's from the UNICEF, end of quote. And so our conversation tonight continues with this advocacy for children's right to play, and in an effort to foster creativity, self-expression, and cultural experiences in the early childhood sector.
Thank you for that. Nothing like laying the foundation before we dive right in. And the ECIs are rolling in from all the different regions. I'm seeing region 5, region 6. Let me see which other region we have here. 7 is in the virtual house. And we have region 3. All right, so if there's a prize for the next in-person engagement, make sure region 3 gets their prize. They actually registered their presence from 328. All right, so they were super early. I hope they're still here now. All right, all right, fantastic. Thank you so much for tuning in. All right, so let's bring on our other panelists so we can dive right in. So I have here with us Dr. Eileen Manokian. I'm butchering it again, and I hope that I get it before. All right, Eileen, founder of GEM Educare. So let me bring in our visitors, and then we bring on the homesters. Asia Foster from OMEP, Regional Vice President for North America and the Caribbean. So another OMEP representative on. Thank you so much for supporting. And let me bring in the king in our midst, or Patrick Earl from the Jamaica Cultural Development Commission, our dance specialist. And for those who are usually tuned into Culture Corner, you should know Patrick from Culture Corner. We have with us also Sophia McCain, who is, let me get Sophia's title correct, the head of department dance education at Edna Manley College of the Visual and Performing Arts. So that's our lineup for now. I trust that Miriam will get sorted out, so she'll be able to join us in a little bit. But let's get right in. Child's right to rest, play, and cultural activities. Let's get started with Asia. How do play and creative activities promote self-expression and honor child's rights?
So I just wanted to start by saying, for those of you who aren't familiar with the acronym of OMEP, it's the World Organization for Early Childhood Education, and we operate in over 60 countries, including Jamaica. So happy to be here. When we think about play is fundamental to early childhood development and early childhood care and education because it supports the holistic growth of young children. And it comes in many forms. It's structured and unstructured, formal and informal, but regardless, it is a critical driver of cognitive, physical, social, and emotional development. It's often, however, viewed as sometimes arbitrary or secondary to children's core developmental needs, when in fact it's a powerful educational tool. And with that tool, we can promote problem solving and creativity and critical thinking among young children. It also helps children to develop self-regulation and cooperation. It's also an opportunity for encouraging language-rich instruction and communication skills, while also allowing children to express their emotions and build resilience. And then play-based learning itself also fosters a love of exploration and sets the foundation for inquiry-based learning that encourages questioning and problem solving amongst young children.
All right. So we also have the cultural aspect. What role does culture play in shaping childhood experiences through play? Let's hear your take on that, Asia, and then Nicolene will chime in on that question. I see Patrick
So
smiling like he's ready to weigh in on that as well.
I love this conversation about where does culture fit in with play, and the intersectionality between play and culture really highlights how play is deeply influenced by cultural values and traditions and social norms, and it's an opportunity to expand on all of those things. So play is not just a universal childhood activity, but it reflects those community beliefs and historical experiences and the collective identity that shapes how children and adults engage within their communities.
All right. All right. Nicolene.
Uh, Many years ago, when I started teaching dance, because I used to teach a lot of children, and I started teaching dance as part of my internship uh, in dance education. I was at the Institute of Jamaica Junior Center, and that's where we used to host many of our children, especially those from the downtown area. And I had a little girl who came up to me after class and she said to me, Miss, I love to dance. I can make up
Oh,
all kinds of things when I'm dancing. And I never forgot the look in her eyes. Because as she was talking to me, she was still moving and flowing
oh,
and twirling. And it's a look that I have seen so often in our children when they experience activities that allow for them to be able to use their own voice. And so it's also something that, for me as a creator, whenever I'm with these children, it stimulates new ideas. And so play provide us, our children, with this opportunity to build, to be themselves, to be able to understand themselves better, and to be able to understand those around them, and to be able to understand their culture, who I am, who I can be, how can I be with others. And so this conversation is really, really critical at this time because we're grappling with so many challenges in our society. And I believe some of that is because our young people, our children, from an early age, are not able to express who they are freely and be able to create from that space, to understand their own identity. And so that youngster has allowed me to think differently about how I teach because I recognize that this embodied learning changes the dynamics in your class and this individual or individuals in front of you. And so I leave it there for now.
oh. And you came alive when you expressed that.
My
And I
teaching.
love it. And that's exactly what play does. Where you get so excited. And so you mentioned it's very important that we're having this conversation at this point. But just in case there are some parents and educators who do not still don't understand the benefits of play and cultural expression, let's drive it home. Uh, Eileen, how do play and the arts contribute to a child's emotional and cognitive development?
So, first of all, thank you for allowing me to be in this space and share my experiences.
Pleasure.
So I run a child center, and my uh, philosophy is play based, and I focus on their emotional intelligence through play. So what play does is play allows children to imagine. It allows their imagination to grow bigger and bigger. That's where art and culture comes in. Every child brings in everything that they see at home into their play. Now, if you have children from different households, every household has its own culture. They come in and they start playing with each other using their own household culture because their role models are their parents. So then they start learning from each other what the culture of the other person is. So they become inclusive. They accept each other the way they are. They learn how to be around children who have a different culture at home or even different culture based on their origin. They might be from a different country. The other thing that play does to their emotions is, first of all, it allows the child to recognize their own emotions. Then it allows the child to express their emotions the way they want. It also allows them to recognize the emotions of others. How are their friends thinking? If I go and grab this toy from my friend starts crying. Crying is a sign of sadness. Now that this act that I did, grabbing the toy from my friend, made her sad. Do I want my friend to be sad? I don't want my friend to be sad. So they start understanding emotions, how they feel, how their friends feel. Then they start finding solutions to all their problems. They start debating with each other. And all of this brings in their capability to problem solve, their capability to be artistic. Now, I was playing with a child the other day because she was the first one who came in, and she brought a artichoke to me, put it in a cup, and she said, "Here, have an ice cream." And I looked at her and I said, "This is not an ice cream." She said, "Yes, it is. It is. Pretend, Eileen, pretend. It's an ice cream." So I said, "Okay, okay, thank you. But right now it's early in the morning. It's breakfast time. I don't eat ice cream for breakfast." She said, "Well, in here, in my play area, it's not breakfast time. It's afternoon.
Right.
So have an ice cream and enjoy it." And I said, "Okay." And I was thinking, wow, look at this child's imagination. Whatever I say, she has a solution for it. Look how solution driven she is and how she knows how to overcome all these problems. And her
Yeah.
emotions are, it is allowing her to regulate her emotions instead of getting upset with me, instead of telling me, "Oh no, you're not playing with me." She comes up with a solution and she regulates her emotions. So I hope this is helpful. We'll go into more details, I guess, later.
Very helpful indeed. I love that.
Yes.
The imaginative world. Yes. Who says it's not breakfast time in my neck of the woods? All right. All right. Let's bring in Sophia and Patrick, sharing in their zone of expertise on the examples of arts-based activities that enhance creativity in children. So let's start with Sophia and then we move over to Patrick.
Okay. Thanks for having me. Good evening,
Okay.
everyone, or morning, wherever you are in the world. Thanks for joining. Uh, the imagination. So, as a dance educator and also a teacher trainer, so I deal with, supervising and developing dance educators. The the art of dance deals with all the three domains of learning, the cognitive, the affective, and the psychomotor, the body. So in essence, for me, I feel like dance and play are very similar, and in some ways they overlap, they're interconnected, especially teaching dance to the early childhood age group, right? Because there's a lot of using the imagination, using the body, and expressing oneself. So I believe they're very much connected. I think the challenge we have generally when I think of education and educators, I feel like we sometimes get separated from our experiences and we forget that we were young once. And, we forget to connect with what that was like in order to meet the children where they are now. So sometimes I feel like we think of play and we think of play as a break. Play is just to get the energy out. Play is just to pass some time because you can't focus for very long, and not seeing the power of play, the power of imagination. If we keep the main thing, the focus, we can pull everything into play. When Eileen, I believe, was speaking, and the young person would say, it's breakfast time. I mean, there could be a discussion about what the benefits would be of having ice cream or the disadvantage. You know what I mean? There could be more conversations about what will happen in your world if they eat ice cream for breakfast. When do they have vegetables? You know, you could get into more concepts about healthy eating without just going, well, that's not what we have for breakfast. So, you know, it makes me think about how we learn by doing all these different things. We learn about culture. I believe it was, I hope I'm pronouncing it right. That just spoke about the importance of play. I feel we sometimes, maybe most times, have unrealistic expectations, right, of what children need and how learning takes place, not realizing that learning can be fun, learning should be fun, and it doesn't take away from content development. So for dance, it's movement. And so, but it's not just movement, just any kind of movement. There's structure to dance. There are elements of dance. You have to learn about the body, time, space, energy. We can incorporate that. We can have a focus, have an objective. We can achieve that through play. And I've found working with children as well and having mentors like Dr. Nicolene DeGrasse Johnson, who is here, and even beloved Mrs. Barbara Rekwa, who would show that in the demonstration of teaching children and how to incorporate play. So I think it's important, and it shouldn't be looked at as a side activity, as something you do at break time, and then we come back for serious work. We need to focus now. Playtime is over. What makes play and education not overlap, especially at the early childhood level? So I think we need to find out, is it that we are not being creative enough to figure out what would it look like if a whole day was game after game after game after game, and we're learning everything, and it's a whole day of games? Why do we have to have a special day for play or a special time for play, especially as a 3-year-old, a 4-year-old? You know, we can develop games, we can do things like that, but we have maybe inherited a structure or have gotten used to a structure or have not ever once thought, what would happen if we broke that structure? Do classrooms have to look like how they look, with the desk and the chairs and the things, right? I think it's a lot of reimagination and connecting with who we were and possibly are that will help us to think of play as the main idea, and the content will come out of that interaction. I think we can push some boundaries.
Very, very insightful. I love that. Talk about being disruptive and in a positive way. I love that. All right, let's hear from Patrick from the cultural perspective.
Yes, good evening, everyone. Patrick Earl. Sophie touched on teachers trying to isolate play from engaging in the teaching and learning process. And I want to put forward the idea of engaging play in the context of competition. At the Jamaica Cultural Development Commission, we have various competition, and therefore we engage teachers and students to compete in categories. But oftentimes, teacher would separate the play experience from the competitive experience. And I am saying, if the child is the center of the cultural understanding, then we should not divorce play from culture. Because when we play in the context of culture, and Dr. Nicolene mentioned the whole matter of identity. When you play in the context of culture, we're talking about belonging. Say, for example, a student is able to demonstrate a step that another student can do. And the fact that they both can do it together, they are now friends. Yes? But on the other hand, let us say that they cannot demonstrate the same step as the other. Play will bring them to a point of appreciation, understanding diversity. So in the midst of competition, teachers need to come to the understanding that if we allow freedom for play in the creative expression, in cultural expression, we are centering the student to the matter of being a Jamaican. I see my grandmother demonstrating a dinky mini step, and I am doing, and teacher is teaching me that dinky mini step. We're talking about identity there. We're talking about belonging there. When they're playing the game in traditional folk form, there's a brown girl in the ring. Again, we're teaching understanding diversity and loving each other regardless. So if we merge both play and cultural understanding in the context of competition, JCDC will be furthering its mandate as it relates to unearthing, developing, and showcasing.
Right. Thank you so much. Wow. I trust that you are understanding and processing all that was shared just now, because educators, parents, this is a very engaging aspect of the discussion that I believe that we need to pay some attention to. But we are going to move right over to the practical tips for parents and childcare practitioners. So the charge is being passed over to Nicolene now to share with us some simple creative activities that parents can introduce to support children's self-expression at home. So how do the parents now utilize these expressions at home so the children can feel it a natural part of the environment they're learning and they're expressing themselves in the same regard? Nicolene.
Just want to have a little bit of thing before. Marcus Garvey said many years ago, it is by education that we become prepared for our duties and responsibilities in life. And so you find that it is critical for us to ensure that our schools prepare our children in this way to stimulate them towards a culturally responsive pedagogy. That is, to understand who they are, to understand why they are, and how they can be. I started that before. And so understanding the rights of the child to rest, relax, play, and participate in cultural and creative activities is essential for the school and for the home. And sometimes we separate, as Sophia was saying about schools without borders, basically, classrooms without borders. It's that kind of where our children are able to express themselves fully. When they're home, this expression that they bring from school or take from school to home, as was said earlier, is not something that you cut off, it's an extension of. And so our parents too must understand this right for their child to be involved in play, and play that will promote cooperative learning, play that allows for them to understand how the family operates, because what they do, and it was said already, that they bring whatever happens at home as part of this play environment. And so parents need to be aware of this youngster who's constantly thinking, who's constantly being, who's constantly becoming. And how do they encourage this? Too often we say, oh, no playing, go study a book, not thinking that it's not a matter of separation. What is it that you're doing at school that we can work through together? So many times we have activities that are happening and it's divorced from the reality of the child, the reality of the parent, and it's also the reality of what happens at school. So how do we bring all of that together? When you ask a question, and I've had that question before, what are some of the tips we can give to parents what are some of the tips we can give to educators? And it's really going back old-fashioned, to see, to observe, to know your child, your children, the students that you have in front of you. What is it that I'm doing that they're adopting? Because that's who they are becoming. Whoever I am, they're becoming. Culturally, however I operate in my society, that's what I am breeding in my home, and that's what they're taking out to school. So how do we do this? We tell stories about our families, stories that they can actually understand who they are. The grandmother Patrick mentioned about Dinky Minnie. A lot of the concern now is that we are losing our culture. We're losing what we used to do, and we're not losing it. We're not practicing it. And so it's there. If we were all supposed to think that if I play a piece of music right now, the Jamaicans online here would do the movement that they have inside. It's that depth, that spiritual awakening that sometimes we push down because we are being who someone says that we are to be. So parents now need to think, how can I get my child more engaged in history that she's learning at school, about social studies, about math, and so forth and so forth. So when we are playing, we engage them according to the homework, and we can go through activities that will allow them to understand deeply what it is that they are required to do in this space, but also a deeper understanding when we embody this learning. And that's what play allows for. Play is really about who we are as individuals. And so play promotes promotes creativity and imagination. We have free reign, as we have heard, in terms of this youngster being a creative being. Play is about life, and how do we operate in this life? Too often we give the kids a device, and we allow them to be on this device and learn about the stuff that's on the device, as opposed to, okay, let's do a story about whatever you're learning at school. Let's write a story. Let's put some music to this story. Let's see how we can open up the story and where you can take it. I actually had an exercise that I wanted to do this evening for all of us that they could do out there, but I'm like, no, teachers also should be old-fashioned. Look at what is happening, observe, and do their own research and create play activities from this. Or children, just like what we have heard from, is it Eileen? About the ice cream. That was such a dynamic story. It's unbelievable. I love it. Because it awakens for whomever is around for this child to be able to say what's next, or have the child say what's next, to write about what could be next. And so the parent is concerned, is a researcher with their child, who is able to get involved in this life of creative energy, and also for the teacher to be able to do that. So my thing is, let us create from what we have. Let's create from who we are. And if you play a bit of music and see how your child moves, or if your child loves to tell stories, or create stories, or paint, let's see how what you did at school today, or how you're feeling right now. If we have some colors, let's work through how you're feeling right now. And why are you feeling this way in red? And why are you feeling this way in blue? Or why is this black here? So we can actually spend time to go through with our children their emotions, their thinking, their being, how they're being present when they get home, or in the morning when you're taking them to school, whether it's riding the bus, walking, or you're driving. How do we stay connected to this idea that we're all cultural beings, and our children are waiting for opportunities to express themselves, for emotional growth?
Amazing. All right, let's hear from Eileen. Share with our educators, what are some of the creative activities that you use in your classroom to support your children's expression, self-expression, that is?
So one of the most important things we do is free play. I love free play, and the children love free play because that's when they can actually express themselves the way they want to express themselves. It gives them an opportunity of doing whatever they want. They want to be a chef, they become a chef, they go start cooking something with whatever they can find. They want to be an artist, they become an artist and they do expressions. The interesting thing is when I bring it to their attention and I said, so what do you want to play today with? Do you want to play with blocks? Do you want to play with magnet tiles? Do you want to have free play? They always choose free play. So free play is their most natural way of learning. Play is the most natural way of learning for children under 7 years old. And that is the way that they know their environment, they do their expressions, they find out what is going on around them, they familiarize themselves with the culture, they learn how to deal with each other as children, and they learn how to deal with an adult. So play is the best way for them to navigate life, basically. That's their way of learning about life and navigate life. My favorite is free play. And what I do is I observe. I observe a lot because there are a lot of times that children do not need our interference at all. If they are getting into an argument or if they want something, I allow them time and space to figure out the solution. Because if every single time I jump in and I resolve their issues, they're not going to learn how to deal with each other. They're not going to learn in real life, how am I going to go around and talk to people. They won't learn how to be nice and get what they want. It's not always if they are hurting each other or harming each other, of course I jump in, but they learn very easily. And especially because my school is mixed age. So we have children that are infants, and we have toddlers, and we have preschoolers. They all coexist in the same classroom, and they learn how to deal with young children, and young children learn how to be leaders, that they are 1-year-old and they are ruling everybody because they are learning these social and emotional skills that they need to navigate around each other. They also know how to do that with me. They know how to come and ask me about something for me not to say no. They do it together. I see them, I observe them. They go, they talk to each other. They're like, let's go today and ask for ice cream, or not ice cream. Like, let's go for, I don't give them ice cream. Let's go ask for bananas for snack. I see them talking to each other. And then they come and one of them comes and says, I love bananas, Eileen. Do you know I love bananas? I say, oh, I love bananas too. The other one comes and says, I see the bananas. They are very beautiful. Do you see how they are little politicians?
Right.
They are doing everything through play with each other. And they are coming together on a project that I didn't even create. They did. They created a project, and then the last one comes and says, we really like to have bananas. And I say, okay, that's fine. We can have bananas. But if that's what you want for this snack, we will have bananas. So they learn how to make choices. They learn how to express themselves in the right manner that will be acceptable to everyone. Children, little children, younger than themselves, and adults much older than them. So I guess to answer your question, my favorite is free play.
Amazing. And I wanted to bring on the others so the viewers could see the expressions. I saw Sophia clapping at one point, and I'm here like, yes. They're little negotiators because that's how they develop these skill sets naturally. But if, as Eileen said, if we keep interfering, we'll never get to see their true potential. And observing is very important. Amazing. Someone came on after. All right, Tamla, your question was answered, but I'll just answer in general for others who might have the same question. Yes, all the recordings are available for replay. There's a specific playlist for a child rights series, so you can binge watch, so you can go back and make a note so you can go implement at home and in your classroom, because that's why we're doing all of this, so that you can take the information and go implement. All right. So I believe we have all the regions represented at this point, which is fantastic. As usual. All right. Casey is saying, Eileen, it is night, but I could have an ice cream now. Love the way you interacted with the little girl. It really is important that our children see us being playful with them. Indeed. All right. Venice's agreeing with you all, exposing our students to the different genres of play through play and competition, as well as engaging them in the classroom for learning different concepts is truly great. All right. We have a couple more. Sophia. Good night, Team ECC. Thanks for another great episode. Oh, the other Sophia. Self-expression provides an avenue for both children and adults to deal with traumatic events. Thanks for shining light on the arts, the power of the arts. All right, and Brandy, well said, Asia. Knowing that play shapes children in so many ways cements the fact that practitioners and other stakeholders should provide play opportunities in the early years. All right, Brandy, our stakeholder specialist over there at Team ECC. All right. Tamla has a comment here that sounds like my son. You tell me, Mommy, fruits are healthy for you. You know, Mommy? All right. I love when they develop the negotiating skills from early, you know. I usually tell my nieces, you don't have to cry. You don't have to say that. You just need to learn to negotiate. You need to know how to get through. You know how to get what you want. And they will put on the charm. All right. So we a whole lot, but we still have to tie it together, because we cannot leave this conversation without, in this year 2025, talking about inclusive classrooms. So, Asia, how do we promote? How can we be inclusive, or include, or how can inclusive play activities rather support the participation of children with diverse needs? Because not all children are created equal. They are unique, as Nicolene mentioned earlier, that we need to understand, and they need to also understand their unique identity. And we have to be a part of that as educators and parents. So shed some light on that, Asia.
We are of the same mind, because I was going to reference Dr. Nicolene's comments before as well. You know, when we talk about how play fits into the discussion of being inclusive, it's this idea that, and Sophia said this as well, that play is a child's serious work, and everything that we do in traditional classroom settings and around developmental domains for children can be done through the lens of play and through activities that are related to play. And when we do that, it allows children to bring their authentic selves and their whole selves to that space in ways that are meaningful to them, but also meet their needs. So when you have these holistic play experiences and you have a broad range of resources and opportunities, children are then able to adapt within that environment to meet their own needs, and teachers are able to adjust in ways that make sure that whatever it is that is of particular importance, or of specific support for children in that space, it's able to be captured, because you have a variety of ways that children can engage under that umbrella of play. And so that's really the foundation that exists. If you go into it thinking, I'm providing these resources, I'm providing these activities from a framework that I want to make sure that children at differing levels and differing abilities can engage, but also that play experience allows children who have more skill sets the time and opportunity to share that with others in that space, but also for those who have more challenges with concepts or resources or materials, have the time and the models in that space as well.
Amazing. All right. And the free play has it. A number of our live viewers, they're endorsing the whole matter of free play. They agree it really enhances children's expression. And Life with Martinique says, well said, we as educators should incorporate play and dance in teaching the lessons. Sophia, see the smile. You're beaming. So amazing. All right, so for those who are with us here live, if you have questions, now is your time to ask. So parents, I see a number of parents registering their attendance. So if you have a question to ask, if there's some activity that you're not so sure how to go about doing it, here are the specialists. Ask them. And for educators, if you are thinking of a lesson or something that was shared that you'd like some additional insights on, feel free to ask your question. We have a little more time to go before the end of this program, but free play has it for the viewers, making choices, cultural expression. That is just so important. And it ties in perfectly with your own identity. Go ahead, Sophia. I see you beaming.
Right, because it's right there. Because I had an experience this week and it's still in my mind. So I teach children's ballet. That's another thing that I would do. And we were in the class, the energy was kind of low. So, I stopped and I said, what's going on today? How was school? What's going on? And we had a chill time. Everybody started to talk and say, what's going on? Someone made reference to something in Roblox. And I'm like, okay, I've heard that before. Teach Auntie. And they're like, Auntie, you don't know Roblox? And you have to DTI. And they're shouting these codes and they're saying these things. And I'm like, I really don't know. Can you help me? And they're like, no. So we made a pact. I said, okay, I'll learn about Roblox and come back next week. And they're like, yes, Auntie. And you will do the développé. And I promise you, which is, développé in ballet is a movement of the leg. They were all committed to the développé exercise. And at the end, they reminded me of my homework. And I went into it because I have been resisting, because I've heard about Roblox from before. And it's this game technology where all the little children are on it. And when I started, I was just like, children need to run up and down outside. Too much tablet, too much of that. Every minute, everybody on a tablet. And I'm thinking we also, as educators who are not from the age of this type of technology with AI and all of that, we need to get with it, because if we don't have the conversations and are receptive to see what is happening in these virtual spaces, then we can't engage with them, because all of the singing and the moving, the coding, the colors, all of that they're getting virtually. Now, I will always be a defender of being in person and the spontaneity of creating in the live space. But there is also a place for being informed. So even as Eileen was saying, we have to observe. No, they never thought that Roblox would be something that interested me, but they were fascinated that I was like, tell me about it. And they were like, Auntie, you don't know that? And it became this big thing. And I was like, I really don't know. And even today, I'm still trying to grasp what it is. So I have my work cut out for me before next week. But then there are persons who are for the technology and against it because, the kind of protection that's needed and what's out there. But then that's where we need the critical thinking. We need them to spot something and say, no, this is not good. Mommy wouldn't want this. Dad, grandma wouldn't want me to watch this. They need to be aware. We may think, okay, put away the tablet, go and go play. So sometimes we even use it as a thing where it's like, but they play differently now. And the same, how can we then develop these technological games that they're Caribbean, Jamaican versions of these games where they're learning the stories and they're learning about Garvey and Miss Lou and all of the culture and the history. if we are not aware, like Auntie was not aware about this thing, and it is not a new thing. But definitely kept myself like, I can't keep up. And you're not on TikTok? No, I'm not. But resisting is not going to allow us to connect. So we also need to find the connecting points, or it's we will be talking at them and not with them. You know, we're not connecting with them because we're doing serious thing. And I love the phrase that play is a child's serious work. I mean, I said that, I said, you see, that is it. And maybe I need to grow up, because sometimes I feel play is my serious work. But I'm just saying, we need to play. Even adults need to play.
Indeed.
You know?
Indeed. We have a question here. Well, not Brandy's comment. Question from Tamla. How do I address a situation where a child, 4 years old, is not focused much on academics? I would love some pointers. Give Tamla some pointers. Who's going to take this? Eileen?
Sure, I can take it. So
Okay.
number one, a 4-year-old should not be at least at all focused on academics. Not at all. If you're talking about, for example, the 4-year-old doesn't want to learn their alphabet, or they don't want to learn their math, there are a lot of ways to do that. You can start working with them and have them move. If they are not moving, they won't learn. They have to be moving. So have them jump. Let's jump 5 times. Now we jump 5 times. Then let's jump to the side twice. Then they jump to the side twice.
Right.
Let's jump back once. And then you start helping them learn math. If it is about their alphabet, the best way is songs. They love learning everything through singing. You have them start singing. You have them start dancing. You have them start moving around. You can have crafts go find a lot of leaves. Let's go and do some exploration in the backyard and see how many leaves we can find, and then let's see what colors they are and what are the shapes and what do we use the leaves for. You start using all these natural ingredients and their movements to teach them everything you want to teach them. A 4-year-old should not be, if a 4-year-old is sitting down focusing for 30 minutes, something is wrong. They should be wanting to move around.
All right. Andrea says, excellent response. Indeed. And just to take Brandy's comment earlier, when we are intentional, then all our children will benefit, and learning and development is fun. What a rich conversation indeed. I just knew that this one was going to be like this. I just love play. As shared by Sophia, play is a great way to teach concepts. So if we as educators engage in daily observation of their free play choices, we can record their likes, and dislikes using anecdotal notes.
True.
Fantastic. The power of observation. And as you were saying earlier, Sophia, it's not a matter of choice now. It should be a norm where we all commit to being lifelong learners, because that is the only way we are going to maintain that connection.
True.
So it's not just for those at the early childhood level, but then you have the tweens and the teens and the in-betweens.
Yes.
Who believe that we are old. So, but they do need to be able to connect, to communicate, because if they're not able to communicate with you, that safe space is not there, they will seek it elsewhere.
True.
And that's something that we have to be mindful of and loosen up and do some playing. All right, Tanique is sharing, use the notes from or observations to integrate similar activities to teach concepts children need to learn. All right, so when you go to those sessions, don't just go there and put the things aside, you have to implement. All right, and when you come here each third Tuesday, it's okay if you don't remember, just zone in. We've got you covered. There's a blog recap that gives you the highlight of the key areas that we discuss. and then you can go back and watch the replay and soak it all in. And while you're doing your chores, you can multitask and get the additional information that you need to improve your engagement with your child at home and for educators in your classroom. All right, the engagements are coming in. Are we going to dance out of tonight's session? Why
We
not?
should.
Make your own music. After all, this
We
Christmas,
should.
we can't just walk out.
True.
I
Very
love
true.
it, Cassie.
Very true. We should. We should.
All right. Oh, Tamla said he seems to prefer videos, but I'm trying to get him off the tablet.
Yes.
No, that's their play. Because interestingly, I thought that my niece at the time, about 2, 3, loved the tablet. So she said that she is playing. So I wanted to find out what kind of play she was doing. And what she was actually doing is actually doing shapes, matching, fitting the shapes. And that's what they're doing on the tablet. So it's not about taking the tablet from them, but how do you create that space for them where it's about learning while they play. So just as adults, we need to actually customize our feed to protect our mental capacity on social media, help the children to do the same. That's what I believe we need to do. Instead of pulling it away from them, how do we teach them at a very early stage to get accustomed to the learning element, which means, like Sophia, we're going to have to go and learn about the roadblock and all of those other things if we're going to connect with them. All right. So those are some other areas. But let me let the experts weigh in. We have less than 3 minutes to go before we dance out of here.
I actually, yes, I have two minds to this. In that, I agree that they should have the tablet time. But what I have observed in working, with kids over the past couple of years, is that the idea of spatial awareness, being able to cooperate with others, those are deliberate skills that can happen through interaction with other human beings. And so the tablets don't allow for that. Now sometimes we no longer have to go into the banks to line up. But if we have to form a queue somewhere, you find that people are on top of each other. We don't know how to recognize our personal space. When you invade my personal space, what that means, and how we are able to negotiate that kind of action. And the fact that when I'm working with others, not just the tablet, I learn how to also negotiate how I interact. What people like, what I like, what they don't like, and how do we negotiate the middle. So it's not a matter of tablets or not tablets. It's a matter of, and I suppose I just wanted to go back saying that we need to allow for time spent being human, to run, to hop, to skip, to jump, to roll, to be with others. It is important to the development of our children, for healthy, adults later on, and teenagers. So yeah, I do believe in that time. I worked with some kids recently, and they were not able to, they were challenged at first to find their own space without being either close to each other or far away, because it's something that is absent from what they do daily. So I do think we need to go back to basics in a lot of ways. And my niece did ask me about the Roblox too, but I asked her to show me through movements, so there was that. Because I couldn't understand it either.
All right. So I'm sure those of us who knew nothing about it, well, I've heard about it, but no, I think I need to go learn about it.
As a father, I had no choice.
But they're supposed to keep you younger for longer, right?
Right. And I guess I agree that we're not putting one above the other. But if we are in the dark, or we have associated negative connotations to a thing without knowing about it, then we kind of following along and basically separating ourselves from them because their thing is they can't relate versus them starting and you challenging as you did. Show me movement. All right, that's cool. Show me movement. And then they're stumped and then they realize, okay, this actually playing physically with somebody is pretty cool. So
Yeah.
I think, yeah, there is that middle ground. I wanted to ask something that might throw a little spoke, and we're out of time. But maybe the challenge with play could be because of the expectations that these children have to meet or exceed to be successful in the future. So we would have to look at the content we expect our children to learn at the ages and the exams that we put them through in order for them to be successful in life. Because that may be the pressure as well for teachers and parents to be like, stop the plane. Do you know 5 fives? And they're like 5, and they're like 5 times 5 multiplication at that level. Like there is a pressure, especially in Jamaica, because of the level they have to be at in order to benefit from certain things. So that may be a deeper discussion, but I think there is a
Sure.
root cause to it, which is why sometimes we see it as a waste of time because you have an examination that you must pass because that is what the rest lies on. So
And
that may be something that we
I'd
have
like
look
to I like to quickly add to that, Sophia, because I was sitting here thinking as we were wrapping up that I would encourage our participants to engage in reflective practice and really be willing to challenge deeply held beliefs about what learning is and how it happens,
Very true.
so that we can really think about separating this idea and looking at learning as a set of objectives, and how do we take those objectives and then apply them to a play-based learning environment, because it becomes a more beneficial experience for children, but it becomes a beneficial experience for us as adults as well, as we reimagine what learning looks like and how we can make that a continually engaging process for young children.
True. Very true.
Indeed. Wow. All right. Someone is just very informative, very insightful, engaging, resourceful, and educational. This session is so rich, and the adjectives go on and on and on, which means, ladies and gentlemen, that we have accomplished our objectives for this forum. All right. So we have people living more informed. Someone shared that they have gotten a lot of reminders, and that is what we really want to do. So we're able to make the connection. So it's not just some letters and numbers written down in some paper somewhere, but how do these apply to our practical situation? Excellent point about the pressure of exams in Jamaica. I need to have a forum where you all share on that. But don't worry, I love creating space for these kinds of engagement. So we can make it happen. But let me thank you all so much for making the time to share your expertise and to connect. Team ECC, thank you for your amazing work. Very hardworking team,
Yes.
always looking to find creative, innovative ways to
True.
connect with all the 360-degree parents, the stakeholders, educators, so that they can nurture our young, our little people, I love to call them. All right, because they'll tell you, I'm not a baby. All right, so let me thank you again for those who are able to join us live. Thank you so much, especially those who are connecting from 5 hours before start time. Thank you for your dedication. We appreciate it so much. But please don't keep the information to yourself. Share it. Remember, the recording remains on YouTube, so you can share it so others can watch when they have the time. Those who are watching the replay, thank you for tuning in. Remember, we do this same time, same place, God's willing, for the rest of 2025, every third Tuesday at 8 p.m. So if you have not yet subscribed, subscribe to the channel and set your notification. For those who are joining us over there on Instagram, hello, hello, hello. Galawa Kevin over on Instagram, and those on Facebook. Thank you so much for tuning in. My pleasure, Brandy. I love me some Team ECC. Have yourselves a fantastic rest of the night. Eileen, Astia, I think I need to make my way to PDI this year again so I can meet some more of you in person.
Yeah.
All
You
right.
guys know?
Dancing.
We're dancing out of here, right?
Yes.
Eileen, where's your move? Where's your dance move? All right, all right. Eileen is bouncing out of here. All right. A Child Rights Series 2025 Live Forum, Hear the Voices of Our Children, We Have Rights Too, is brought to you on third Tuesdays at 8 p.m. in collaboration with the Early Childhood Commission. Visit our website at www.serenityresourceconnector.com and subscribe to receive our weekly blog post. Join us again on Thursday at 8 p.m. for Community Corner. Thank you for watching.